Hello YouTube friends, this is Fossilsaurus here. I'm coming at you not with an unboxing, but an unwrapping. Obviously this has been unboxed before, but these were just sitting in the box like this. I know what they are, and they are very cool. Gotta be careful, I don't want them to go everywhere. Now, as you can see and probably guess, these are teeth. Fangs, really. Now these monsters come from a fish that may be somewhat well known to quite a few of you because in popular culture they are quite common, and even just information wise there's a lot of them out there. They're very well known, very popular. Xiphactinus. Now for those who don't know, Xiphactinus are very gnarly fish. They look just like tarpon, but if you took a tarpon and stretched its body out lengthwise, that's almost exactly what it would look like, except you would have to change the head. The head is totally unique to anything else except for the time. Now, it was actually a similar shape and plan for fish at the time. There were a number of smaller fish that were closely related, that had almost exactly the same head, but the thing that differentiates these guys is size. These guys got up to, we know up to, so they definitely got longer. Known up to or a little bit longer than 20 feet long. Now, that makes them one of the largest bony fish of all time. Scary thing is, one of the largest bony fish of all time happens to be Xiphactinus. These guys are absolute terrors, or were. Some people have called them bulldog fish because the face absolutely has a resemblance to a bulldog. It's smushed up. It has just a trap jaw mouth. Very, very intimidating. The teeth are placed so that when its mouth is wide open, they stick almost straight forward out, and I guess that is part of their feeding tactic, is to ram and because they could just ram into something and spear it. They don't have to like snap down at the correct time or anything like that. They also have such a big mouth that they can produce negative pressure by opening. So what that does is anything in front, it sucks water, and so anything in front, just by opening your mouth, will get sucked directly in. So, and these guys had massive mouths, even for the size fish they are. These guys were absolute gluttons. Well, first of all, there's a huge amount of just beautifully preserved full specimens. Just very impressive. But there are at least 3, which is a huge amount for just preserved found fossils of individuals that seemingly died from, or at least one seemingly died from swallowing a fish too big. Now this was about a full size, as far as we know, about a 20-footer, and it had a 6-foot fish, a large human-sized fish that it had swallowed whole, which is how they eat. They don't chew or rip it apart, they swallow whole. Now, it seems, because this fish was in perfect shape, seems like it died from eating the fish. Now the other ones are in different states of decay, or digestion, so it seems that they could easily eat huge prey and not die, because one of them, the very large fish that it swallowed, is down to just some remains of bones sitting around, but you can still see, like, it was probably held together by some tissue, and you could still see how big it was. Now these guys came from the Cretaceous. They lived until the end of the KT, or till the KT extinction, so the end of the Mesozoic. They lived in one of the most notoriously horrific, dangerous seas of all times, or times, period, and because they could be found all over the world, and especially one of the most dangerous seas of all times, which was the Western Interior Seaway. Now that is a strip of ocean that was in the western United States that divided the country or continent clean through, Mexico to Canada. And this was full of some of the most dangerous, vicious animals known. This had some of the largest sharks, not plankton sharks. So whale sharks are bigger, basking sharks are bigger than most, but some of the largest carnivorous sharks, bigger than great whites. Quite a few of them, great white size or larger, which is just horrific. They had large mosasaurs, some of the largest ones, Tylosaurus, Mosasaurus, they lived there. Those were the largest of the mosasaurs. Lots of mosasaurs lived there. But those two are by far the biggest, and that just tells you the kind of ocean it was. These guys were nothing to sneer at. And even the smaller fish, there was plenty of fish that were smaller that were exactly the same. So you can imagine fish of all size like this. So that just tells you the kind of place they lived in. It was just nightmare fuel, and they were able to survive and do fantastic. So they were even thought, their streamlined body was, or is looked at to where it was made so it could easily leap out of the water. One of the large purposes, probably part of that is to escape from some of the absolutely massive predators, but it is also believed, and I think there is evidence of this, but it may just be good speculation, that it was a feeding habit of catching pterosaurs. Probably not just sitting on the surface of the water, but leaping out, catching anything within a short distance of the water surface was probably fair game for these guys. And that's pretty impressive right there, to be able to just jump out of the water and just snag something flying. There's plenty of things nowadays that will snatch things that are sitting on top, but it's not common to have things that will jump up and catch things that are in mid-flight. That's impressive. Now, like I said, these guys were not too unique for their era, except for their size. There were smaller ones, including the 6-foot fish that one of them died swallowing, was a fish that looks exactly like them, just didn't get as big. I think 6 feet is about the max that fish got. So it was not a unique body plan, body shape, head shape. It was very successful. It would probably be very successful today too. Tarpon, extremely successful fish, and they wouldn't have anything on these guys, even though they're similar body plan. So these guys are nightmare fuel from quite a while ago, and it's such a good thing that they're not around anymore. You usually find vertebrae for sale. It is not common at all to find teeth for sale. So I was very happy to find these. These were from the same person, the same group, and I believe they were a collector. So it is very possible that these teeth were from the exact same individual fish. Because if they were collecting, usually when you find a bunch of teeth together in one spot, it's going to be because a fish died there and that's its teeth. That's how it is with sharks, any animal. When you find associated parts together, it's going to be because it was the same animal in almost every case. So just that fact alone is very cool. If the idea of if these are from the same fish, I just think that makes it much cooler than just the teeth themselves. But I hope many of you probably already knew a lot about these guys, because like I said, they're not the most uncommon thing, somewhat popular, but I hope that I was able to teach some of you guys about them. Maybe some of you didn't know much about them, maybe heard about them, maybe didn't know anything about them. Extremely impressive fish. One of the more impressive fish that has ever lived that we know about. Of all the species that have ever been fossilized, there were very many more species that didn't have any fossilized individuals, or that we will never find them of. So there were lots of animals that have lived that we will never know about. So it could have easily been a bigger fish, a crazier fish, but from what we know of, these guys are about as badass as it gets. So I hope that you guys liked the video. I appreciate you guys watching, and I really hope to see you next time.